Hello, BookTube.
Hello, BookTube.
I thought we'd do another video, as long as Deb's here. I've got a bunch of mail, so we'll go through it and see what's of interest. Starting with this enormous thing. It won't fit inside the mail tub, so we have to do it first. I hate it. This is a finished copy of something. Oh, baby, what are you doing? Why don't you stay out where you are? Here you go. Okay, this is the... Oh, no. Okay, I thought I knew what this was, but I don't. There's a book coming out in April called Hitler, The Death of Hitler, Why the Truth Matters, or something like that. We saw the advanced copy on this channel. And when first I glanced at this, I thought this is the finished copy, but it's not. This is a different Hitler book. This comes out in mid-April. It is by Ian Sayer and Jeremy Dronfield, and it's Hitler's Last Plot. Subtitle is The 139 VIP Hostages Selected for Death in the Final Days of World War II. I think I know that. That sound effect is Frida. She has been given some cardboard to tear apart. And she's going nuts. In April of 1945, as Germany faced defeat, Hitler planned to round up the Third Reich's most valuable prisoners and send them to his, quote, Alpine fortress, where he and the SS would keep the hostages as they made a last stand against the Allies. Never heard of this before. Orders were given to the SS. If the German military situation deteriorated, the prisoners were to be executed, all 139 of them. Some of the prisoners plotted escape, others prepared for the inevitable, and their SS guards grew increasingly volatile, drunk, and trigger-happy as defeat loomed. Who are these people? Who were these 139 people? Among them, European presidents, prime ministers, generals, British secret agents, and German anti-Nazi clerics, and celebrities, and officers who aided the July 1944 bomb plot against Hitler. So people that the Allies would have wanted alive were all rounded up and brought to Berchtesgaden. I've never heard of this plot. Never. This is going to be Nazi history that I don't know. Amazing. Okay. Great. Purely a Steve book. Nothing really for you to latch on your talons onto. But we have plenty of other things. This is a whole mail tub full of books, and it ends in a box. So you're doing another one of these. The Bean certainly wants as many of these things as she can get. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay.
Now this next one, you guys can't see it yet, but this is definitely a Steve book.
She's being a smartass. Because she's had her Metamucil today. See? She almost said shut up again. This is an author I really like, but it's not the kind of book I really like. This is on April 2nd. This is Debbie Macomber. This is Be a Blessing. And it's a journal of cultivating kindness, joy, and inspiration. And I am never kind. I take my joy by inflicting pain on others. And I'm only inspired on the crapper. Is it a journal? Oh my god! Oh, it is. All right. Well.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
I'm not even gonna read it because a thing like this is virtually.
Show the pages.
It's virtually review proof. What am I supposed to do with something like this? I mean, honestly, I don't know why I was sent it, but we'll just move straight on. It's raining cardboard for the Bean. I'll have to clean up. Okay. All right. Okay, this is from Basic Books. This comes out in mid-April. I think we saw this already. This is by Mark Moffat, and it is The Human Swarm. How Our Societies Arise, Thrive, and Fall. Making their way across the African savanna, the Australian coastline, and the American plains, our ancestors moved in small bands, lifelong fellow travelers. Month after month they made their camps and searched for food and water. Rarely did they encounter other human souls. So rarely that outsiders seemed to occupy a realm between reality and myth. Aborigines guessed the first Europeans they met were ghosts. Over time, our view of the members of our other societies has changed radically. Today, foreigners don't seem outlandish or otherworldly as they once routinely did. As a consequence of global exploration, starting in the 15th century, and more recently tourism and social media, contact between people from far-flung parts of the world is now commonplace. Okay, alright, so what is the book about? Hub sheet? Care to tell me? Still, humankind continues to express its relationship to societies in ways that people seldom recognize or avow. Yet our minds, configured to interact with fewer individuals and groups, are overloaded. Okay. Okay. No, that is absolutely not true. That is absolutely not true. Our minds are not configured to deal with smaller groups of people. And if there are too many people, we're overloaded. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. That's not a configuration of your brain's tissues. That's your lived experience as a member of your culture. Okay. So this book is about how people cope with the burden. How do you cope with the burden of knowing there are 9 billion people in the world? And what is talking points? Oh, God, it's another list of talking points.
Oh, God.
Because I'm a moron. I won't be able to figure out what points to make about the book. You describe entering a coffee shop as a remarkable human achievement. How so?
What?
What do you mean by, quote, society? It's a remarkable human achievement to enter a coffee shop.
Well,
How important are cooperation and family life to the existence of societies?
when you get an answer to question number 1, I want to know what
Well,
the
I assume
answer is.
it's this author thinks that humans are hardwired for small xenophobic societies, so walking into a coffee shop full of strangers is probably a big deal. Certainly, every millennial that I've ever met considers it a huge accomplishment to walk into a coffee shop. They want an award for it. But it isn't really. It isn't really an accomplishment. Are societies common across nature? How do animal societies compare to those of humans, and what does that teach us? Okay, well, I guess I'll have to read the book to find out what any of these things mean. But this comes out in April, and I don't know, I can't think that I have it up there. I think this might be the first time I'm seeing it.
I want you to write those up as little essays and bring them to
I know.
me.
The Adventure of the Coffee Shop.
That's a strange. Those are strange questions.
Bean, you have plenty of cardboard. You don't need any more. What is this next one? Okay, I don't recognize this either. So this comes out in April. There's a lot of these books that I don't recognize, but I don't dislike them. They intrigue me because they're all nonfiction, except for the Debbie Macomber book. I'm not going to keep a journal of my gratitudes. Thanks very much. But this is by Charles Lane, and it's called Freedom's Detective: The Secret Service, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Man Who Masterminded America's First War on Terror. Recent white supremacist rallies underscore the politically divisive mood in our nation and remind us that the racist mission of the Ku Klux Klan, America's homegrown terrorist group, lives on a century and a half after it was born in the wake of the Civil War. Politically divisive. Yeah. On the one side, there are all the decent people who hate Nazis and racists, and on the other side, there's the President of the United States, who says there are plenty of decent people on both sides. The people who mowed down with a car a peaceful protester, plenty of nice people there. The people who marched through Charlottesburg with torches in the middle of the night, who surrounded a synagogue chanting, "Jews will not replace us." There are plenty of upstanding citizens in that crowd. Yeah, there's a split in America, definitely. The origins of the KKK and the first government agents to do battle with it in the Reconstruction-era South are explored in this book. By he's a veteran journalist and Pulitzer Prize finalist, Charles Lane. Okay, so this is going to be about the beginnings of the Klan and the beginnings of the federal government pushback against the Klan, which has effectively ended. It doesn't exist any. There is no federal government pushback against the Klan. Instead, there are hiring rallies. But once upon a time, there were.
I remember, one of the dumbest things I think I've ever said, or one of the most obvious things I think I ever said, is somebody was talking about Nazis, and I was like, God, I hate Nazis. And sadly, that's not an obvious comment anymore.
Nope, it's not. Or some corners of the alt-right on YouTube, one of their go-to lines is, well, these millennial snowflakes, they talk about Nazis, but the Nazis aren't around anymore, okay? It's not World War II anymore. And yet they call themselves Republicans. And I want to say, okay, well, if Nazism doesn't get to continue as an ideology because the last Nazi who was an original Nazi died. Then what are you? You can't call yourself a Republican. You can't even call yourself an American. Because the original holders of those titles are dead. No, ideologies can live. It's just, I know this will shock you, but it's yet another bad argument from the alt-right. You're lucky you don't know much about them, because they would drive you crazy. They reason like 4-year-olds. But anyway, now we have a piece of fiction. And it's something we've seen on this channel before. Now we have it in a lovely finished copy. Okay, I hadn't noticed this about the cover in the advanced copy, but the cover is wrong. But that's okay. That's all right. This comes out in April. Too late for March Mystery Madness, but it is a murder mystery. It's by Maria Fredericks, and it's Death of a New American. And I will send a copy of Gore Vidal's gigantic essay collection, United States, to the first of you who can tell me what's wrong with that cover. Let's see here. Intolerance and preconceived opinions of immigrants living...
I see a theme.
I know. I understand. I understand. Publicists want to give... But they want to hook a busy book intern, a busy book editor. You know, they don't just want to launch... Oh, here's a murder mystery from 400 years ago. They want to hook you somehow. I understand that, but still... the call for women's equality. The taboo discussions of women's health. All are important, newsworthy topics in the 21st century, just as they were over 100 years ago. Shown through the eyes of Jane Prescott, a lady's maid who serves the city's upper echelon, this book dives into those heated topics while showcasing the stories and struggles of both rich and poor, and an unfortunate murder. In a bygone era, we would have started the pub sheet with the unfortunate murder. In 1912...
I'm guessing the unfortunate murder takes place in a coffee shop.
1912. Okay. Anyway, in 1912, as New York reels from the news of the Titanic disaster, how many of our kids did we lose? The Titanic. Did we lose any of the good ones? Probably lost a bunch of losers.
Well, yes.
A lot of them have been losers.
They have.
I don't think
we've had a few good ones, though.
A few good ones.
A few good ones.
Yeah. But most, I know we lost a couple on the Titanic. What are the odds? We lost two. But I don't know if we lost any good eggs on the Titanic. Probably good riddance to them. Freezing cold.
You know, you shouldn't be joking about people's death.
Oh. I thought you were going to say, I shouldn't be joking about abandoning babies to passing gypsies. but no, you meant people's death.
Yes, because you hate when people get upset about things you say. So,
You're weird.
Yes, I'm sorry.
She's weird. I'm perfectly normal, but she's weird. Anyway, lady's maid Jane Prescott travels to Long Island with the Benchley family. She travels to Long Island with the Benchley family. I'll stop doing that. Those of you who see it. Those of you who don't won't. Their daughter Louise is to marry William Tyler at their uncle and aunt's mansion. The Tylers are a glamorous, storied couple, their past filled with travel and adventure. Now Charles Tyler is known for putting down New York's notorious Italian mafia, the Black Hand, and his wife Alva has settled into domestic life. As the city visitors adjust to the rhythms of the household and plan Louise's upcoming wedding, Jane quickly befriends the Tyler children's nanny, Sophia, a young Italian-American woman. Is it connected to the mafia, do you think, maybe? However, one unusually sultry spring night, Jane is woken by a scream from the nursery and rushes in to find Sophia murdered and the carefully locked window flung open. Right, so this is a 1912 era murder mystery. 1912 New York. What is the bean eating? She's not eating. She's not doing anything wrong. All right. So this next one is big and heavy. So it's probably a finished copy of something substantial. That's what I'm hoping. Because this has been a great history and nonfiction heavy haul, but no Steve books yet. Nothing that's made me squeal. Oh no, it's not a finished copy. Okay. All right. We saw this already.
Oh, that looks good.
Yes, indeed.
That looks nice.
This is actually a double. This is coming out in July, and we've already seen it. This is the the big book of classic fantasy, which starts off with the Brothers Grimm and ends with Tolkien. So that gives you an idea. There's nothing contemporary in here. It's all, and it's in that's Fritz Leiber. It's double column. I love books that are double column. And I have I got a copy of this. I showed it on this channel a little while ago, and I dipped into it right away. Started reading. I read a bunch of short stories by authors that I like, just to see which story the editors. It's Anne and Jeff Vandermeer, which stories they'd chosen. And I picked one by an author that I didn't know, and I ended up really liking it. What was it? It was, William Lawhead, The Marvelous Exploits of Paul Bunyan. I liked it just fine. I read another one that I liked too, though. The Lord Dunsany book is The Hoard of the Gibelins. I was kind of hoping, I always hope when he's in an anthology, I have a favorite story by him, The Kith of the Elf Canon. I was always hoping that it was in here, but it's not. But there was another one. Fernán Caballero. Do any of you know Fernán Caballero? The story is called The Hump, and I liked it. Again, very dark imagination at play. All right, so we've already seen this. This is definitely a Steve book, but there's no squealing because I've already squealed.
Yeah, look at the stories in it.
And then we finish with the... no, we don't. We have one more, and then we have a bunch. What is this next one? Finished copy of something. Oh. Okay. Oh, this must be the American publication of this thing. Yes, no, yes. Yeah, this comes out in mid-May. BookTube will be familiar with this. Some of you will be familiar. You will have seen this, I think, in the UK. This is Mohammed Hanif, and this is Red Birds, in a lovely finished paperback with the deckled edges and the French flaps. This is just what it's going to be. It's going to be a $16 paperback. That has already come out in the UK. That's what I know this from watching the UK booktubers. And I believe I have a copy. I believe I read this in a UK edition. It was hailed by the UK Times as a blistering, savage, tragicomic satire about the cruelty of war and the impossibility of peace. It's a new novel by the author hailed as Pakistan's brightest voice, and it's exposing the harsh, absurd hypocrisies of human intervention in the Muslim world. Hanif skillfully outlines the surreal moral landscape of America's forever wars in an unsparing, razor-sharp sense of humor widely compared to Joseph Heller's Catch-22. An American pilot crash lands in the desert and finds himself on the outskirts of the very camp he was supposed to bomb. After days spent wandering and hallucinating from dehydration, Major Ellie is rescued by one of the camp's residents, a teenager named Momo, whose entrepreneurial money-making schemes are failing as his family is falling apart. His older brother Ali left for his first day of work at an American base and never returned. His parents are at each other's throats. His dog is having a very bad day. And an earthy, crunchy aid worker has shown up wanting to research him for her book on the teenage Muslim mind, all in capital letters. I think we saw this on this channel already. I'll have to check my May shelf. Amidst the madness, Momo sets out to search for his brother, hoping his new Western acquaintances might be able to help him find him. But as the truth of Ali's whereabouts begin to unfold, the effects of American aid on this war-torn country are revealed to be increasingly pernicious. And this is from the author. I know we've seen this on this channel because I remember mentioning this author wrote a book called A Case of Exploding Mangoes that was hilarious. It was tremendously good. And this this is his next one. So I will have to check my May shelf and as Deb can attest, the work shelf over there is not its best self. It's a kind of a mess. But this comes out. This is going to be. I'm pretty sure this is the American edition of this. The American premiere of this book. It's just coming out as a trade paperback. That's great. That's fantastic. More people will take a chance on it if that's true. And then we've got the last one. The last thing is indeed a box, and then we'll be done. And then I will make Deb clean up the room because Frida has made a mess. You can't have this one. It's got adhesive all over it, little bean. All right, so what is this last one? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. A worthy author, a worthy book, but not a Steve book. So this is due in April. This is No Place I'd Rather Be, and it's Roger Engel and a life in baseball writing. He's a famous baseball writer, and that's what this is. It's from the University of New Mexico Press.
What? What am I supposed to be looking at?
You're not looking at the pub sheet for this book, that's for sure. You're looking at case studies to provide a global perspective on the intersection of religious charity and state governing gifts. Okay, so this book did not arrive. Instead, I have this book, which does not have a pub sheet, but it doesn't really need one. This guy's been writing for the New Yorker for 70 years. And baseball is his chosen subject. He's terrifically engaging on the subject. I just don't.
You're not a baseball fan, are you?
I'm not a baseball fan, no. No, it's a bunch of portly, elderly gentlemen standing around in a field. I don't find this enthralling watching at all. Every once in a while, they spit out a gigantic wad of tobacco and maybe, waddle to the next base, but that's about it. And for the pleasure of these elderly men standing around in the sun for a few hours, they're each paid $50 million.
You should watch a baseball game. They're not portly old men.
They could do with the keto diet.
Some of them are hotties.
Please.
Check it out.
All right, well, that is it. That is our mail haul. We lost Frida to the packages of cardboard on the floor. We lost Deb to a book, and there are no Steve books in here. But still,
what comes the closest to being a Steve book?
The closest to coming to being a Steve book is probably the very first one, the World War II book.
Okay.
Because it's a tiny sliver of World War II. It's 139 hostages. It's a tiny sliver that I somehow don't remember ever reading about before.
Right.
And I know that can't be true. Like, every major, gigantic 900-page history of the Third Reich would have to have had a page or a paragraph on it at the end. So maybe I was just flagging by the time. But I've read, for instance, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich 10 times. I don't recall the story. So that's probably the one for me. So we have No Place I'd Rather Be. A life in baseball writing. We have Death of a New American, set in 1912 New York, a historical murder mystery. We have Freedom's Detective, about the government's first response to the many fine people who comprise the Ku Klux Klan. We have The Human Swarm, about how you're really doing something with your life if you walk into a coffee shop. This is going to be one of those theory-driven nonfiction books that tends to make Steve jot a lot in the margins. Then Be a Blessing by Debbie Macomber. I have no use for this book whatsoever, but I'll use it as an opportunity to strongly recommend the author. She is a wonderful person, and her books are wonderful. If you are feeling kicked around by the world, or tawdry and disappointed by your last 10 reads, find a Debbie Macomber book and read it. A novel, not a journey of gratitude, for God's sake. You live in the lap of luxury in the richest country in the history of the world. You don't need to keep a journal of how grateful you are.
But I still can't go into a coffee shop.
I know, you're going to think twice the next time you do. You'll notice that, Deb might give off the kindly everybody's friend attitude, but the more perspicacious among you will notice that she has just as sharp a BS detector as I do. The fact that just because she doesn't write book reviews doesn't mean she wouldn't immediately zero in on the blood in the water of any book description. She just tries to hide it and be all nice and friendly. She wants all the kids in the cafe to like her. Anyway, then Red Birds by Mohammed Hanif, in a lovely finished paperback. And once again, as the last time we mentioned this was a long time ago, I think. But once again, I'll use this as an opportunity to recommend A Case of Exploding Mangoes. You will like it. It's absurdist war humor, which is very tough to do, especially now in the 21st century where no one is allowed to be humorous about anything. You have to take everything deadly seriously or you'll be mobbed on Twitter. And then Hitler's Last Plot, where he rounded up all of his best... Oh, and right, this too. He rounded up all of his best hostages to hold them against the encroaching West. I guess because he thought, what? Because he thought, what? I'll have to read the book to find out, but what could have been on his mind? That the Allies wouldn't shoot him on sight? He knew they didn't want to shoot him on sight. He knew they wanted to capture him and put him on trial. But the nature of the hostages means that explicitly they were hostages for the West. The people that were described in the pub sheet, the Russians wouldn't have cared about them at all. And the Russians would have shot him on sight. So I'll have to read the book to find out. I will read the book gladly. So there you go. It's a mail haul. We lost Deb early, but that's okay.
Yes.
So we'll wrap this up, and we'll call it a day. We've got a lot of cleaning up to do. But goodbye, BookTube. I'll see you soon.